Watch.
Amazingly, the 2020 election cycle is in full swing at this point. Virtually every notable Democrat, really in the world, has already jumped in. President Trump looked vulnerable a couple of months ago, maybe even doomed to defeat, and that was, of course, the lure that got them into the race. But things have changed a lot in the last 2 months. The Democratic Party's own wokeness has been the real factor. Watch.
An agency like ICE, which repeatedly and systematically violates human rights, does not deserve a dime.
This administration and this president are truly morally corrupt.
When your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach them."
So what would happen if the least balanced, most extreme members of the Democratic Party took over? Well, the president couldn't have scripted better. He may not have built a wall in the end, but his enemies are so terrifying to normal voters that it's helped him. His approval rating is rising. His reflection odds have improved as well. Author and columnist Mark Steyn has been watching all this and joins us tonight. So I'm starting to think that maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and this Ilhan Omar are working for the Trump organization in some capacity. I mean, it almost seems like a setup. It's just almost too perfect.
Yeah, I think they're colluding with Trump, as we should say.
Good point.
And we need to investigate it. Basically, what is going to happen now is that the trajectory in the Democrat side of the field is that they're all going to drive each other even more woke. So you'll think that Elizabeth Warren is woke, and she'll make Kamala Harris even more woke. And in the end, they'll even succeed in woking Joe Biden. And they're all going to be made super hyper woke. Federal officials, policemen in effect, have discussed using the 25th Amendment because they think President Trump is mentally ill. And as Alan Dershowitz said, that's a judgment that should be made by doctors or secretaries or chiefs of staff, anyone, in fact, but a police agency. The question before the electorate is going to be, who is really the sane or the insane one?
Yeah.
The party that is proposing retrofitting every single 230-year-old colonial-era farmhouse in northern New England in order to make it compatible with the Green New Deal, the party that is committed to abolishing the Border Enforcement Agency, or the guy who's just there in the White House doing his job, even as he drives deep state lunatics to devise ever more absurd ways of trying to get rid of him.
So you've got to wonder if there aren't big parts of the Democratic Party, even the Democratic Party, who are going to look at people like this screaming on CNN all day and think, you know what, this is too much for me. I mean, they could potentially break their party in half.
Yes, I think so, because if you look at what happened last time, they had a problematic and frankly rather unlikable candidate proposing relatively centrist or left-of-centre policies in Democrat terms. This time round, you are going to have candidates who are taking extreme leftist positions. And the risk, of course, is, as with what happened to Ilhan Omar, that in crude identity politics terms, they check all the boxes, they do all the virtue signaling, so they seem kind of nice. And then you read 3 or 4 of their tweets and you realize, actually, this person isn't nice. And I think that's a real danger for the Democrats. Whereas Trump, by comparison, plays a sort of thug and a bully, and he tweets up a storm. But he's actually not unlikable in the same way that some of these Democrats are revealing. Well,
and his policies are basically moderate, which nobody ever says, but it's true.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Yeah. He's relatively centrist on that stuff.
For sure. By the standards of 2 years ago, anyway. Mark Steyn, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.